In a follow-up to our video from yesterday, it appears that White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt is facing increasing public criticism after a series of unusual remarks that have raised a lot of eyebrows. We need to talk about it. But before we dive in, if you enjoy this kind of analysis and want to support the channel, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future updates. Alright friends, before we get into the broader reaction to what's being described as a major public controversy for Karoline Leavitt, let's take a quick look back at what she said about roughly half the country, specifically about members of the Democratic Party, during her appearance on Fox News. And what's especially interesting here is that in this clip, you can actually see the two Fox News hosts' reactions on screen. They look surprised and immediately try to steer the conversation in a different direction. Take a look.
Well, that's a classic case of I don't want to answer the question because I know it's wildly unpopular. In the Democrat Party, this interview proved that the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world. And that's why President Trump worked so hard to end this conflict in the Middle East. It was President Trump who brought home the last living hostage out of Gaza, Edon Alexander, who has since been reunited with his family in New Jersey. It's President Trump who is actually pushing for peace. And I would like to add, where are all of the Free Palestine protesters? It's President Trump who freed Palestine, literally, and they are now very much quiet because why? They can't stand President Trump, and that is the basis of the Democrat Party today. They don't stand for anything except for catering to their far-left base, which, as I said, includes anti-Semites, includes Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals who they want to let off freely to roam in American streets.
It really says a lot that the other Fox News host, and I'm blanking on her name right now, didn't say anything in response. That silence alone was pretty telling. You could actually see it on both of their faces. They looked genuinely stunned. John Roberts, in particular, was quick to change the subject, saying something like, "Yeah, if I can, I'd like to return to the topic of the shutdown." You could tell they recognized how extreme those comments were. And for Karoline Leavitt to sit there smiling the entire time, while essentially dismissing half of the country as being somehow unworthy or dangerous, was honestly shocking. Even by Fox News standards, it felt like they were trying to keep things cordial with the Trump team, but that moment definitely crossed a line. But here's the thing, that wasn't the end of the story. Following her remarks, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries publicly responded, calling out what he described as unacceptable rhetoric from Leavitt. And then, instead of taking a step back, she doubled down and fired back at him. And what she said next made headlines again. We're going to show you that response and then look at yet another example, just in the past 24 hours, of Karoline Leavitt appearing to completely lose her composure in public.
I haven't gotten any information specifically from the Speaker or from House Republican leadership, although it is a matter of deep concern. Like, we've already seen a rise in political violence and hatred in America. And then you've got swastikas apparently appearing in the offices of Republican members of Congress. You've got young Republicans engaging in the most anti-Semitic and racist speech possible. Like, this is apparently who many of these people are. They are ripping the sheets off in plain view of the American people. Their words, their actions, revealing themselves in so many different ways. And then you got Karoline Leavitt, who's sick, she's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants. This makes no sense. that this is what the American people are getting from the Trump administration in the middle of a shutdown. So their actions continue to speak for themselves, which is why they're on the wrong side of public sentiment.
So, again, he called out, and I appreciate it. I appreciate us. I think every Democratic leader has an obligation to call out the Trump administration for their cruelty, their division. This idea that basically you can have Karoline Leavitt on there smiling while she attacks half the country, and Democrats are like, oh, golly gee, she shouldn't have said that, or like, I'm going to be focused like, no, you need to rhetorically, verbally hit back and talk about how much she sucks, how stupid, how dishonest, how incompetent she is, how cruel she is. I mean, actually take that. That is a bare minimum. Now, in response to this, Leavitt had a meltdown on True Social. He said, Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats are lashing out because they know what I said is true. The Democrat Party's elected officials absolutely cater to pro-Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. But again, she said the constituency, as in the people that the Democratic Party represent, the people who vote for the Democratic Party, 50% of this country, more often than not. The majority of this country, that's the problem. So I don't know if this is a panicked attempt to clean up her language, to try to clarify without totally losing face, but she goes on this faking unhinged screed. Democrats do not serve the interest of the American people. Hockey Jeff is an America last stone cold loser. Now open up the government and stop sing to try to get your radical left-wing base to like you. Again, she hates this country, and she reflects Donald Trump's wishes, which makes sense, right? Because Donald Trump has repeatedly said how he hates the Democratic Party and how he hates his political critics, how he hates his political opponents. He said it at Charlie Kirk's memorial. I hate him. I'm not like Charlie. I didn't love my opponents. I hate them. They hate me. I hate them. He said it multiple times in public. He said it on July 4th of this year, the sitting president of the United States. And Hakeem Jeffrey is right. I want you to imagine a Democratic president saying that they hate half this country. I want you to imagine a Democratic spokesperson or a White House press secretary under President Biden, President Obama, President Clinton saying that they hate half this country. Imagine how the right would react. Imagine how Fox would react. As stunned as they were, they would be calling out if that were Karine Jean-Pierre, President Biden's last spokesperson, or Jen Psaki, President Biden's first spokesperson, if they were on Fox News and talked about how the Republican constituency are violent criminals, insurrectionists, incestuous, hillbillies out of Alabama, whatever. Just demonizing and vilifying them. Do you think John Roberts, the male host, and again, I'm blanking on the other lady's name. Do you think they would have just sat there and stunned silence and tried to change the topic? Or do you think they would have how dare you? You can't demonize half this country. So again, I'm not trying to give Fox News a gold star here. I'm simply saying her rant was so hateful, even they were desperate to change the subject. But we can't even fathom a Democratic administration ever saying anything like that, because Democratic politicians are objectively morally superior to Republican politicians. They would never do that for all their faults. But the thing is, it's not just the rant on Fox News, and it's not just the rant in response to Hockey Jeffrey. Mehdi Hassan, friend of the show, pointed this out. Quote, in response to HuffPost query about who suggested Budapest, White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt responded, your mom did. And White House Communications Director Stephen Chung replied, your mom every time you think they can't sink lower. And this is in response to another summit with Vladimir Putin that's supposed to happen in Budapest. So she's so unhinged, so demented. I mean, it's not as vicious, but it's so petulant and ridiculous and silly. Hey, out of curiosity, why'd you pick Budapest? Or who suggested Budapest? Huh? Your mom. What? What the hell are you? Like, it would still be wrong, but at least I could wrap my head around it if Karoline Leavitt gave that petulant response to an adversarial question like, hey, if somebody had asked, hey, yesterday on Fox News, you seem to demonize half this country. Who told you in the White House? Who in the White House told you that would be a good idea? And then if Karoline Leavitt were to respond with your mom, it would still be really dumb and petulant, but at least it would make more internal sense. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a totally neutral question. Why would you respond this way? And then for Stephen Chung, who I've talked about before, Stephen Chung is the worst. In fact, he's worse than Karoline Lev. He just doesn't have a public-facing role. He's actually her boss as the White House communications director. And Venati doesn't have a public-facing role because he's hideous. It's okay to make fun of Stephen Chung in this respect because he is a monstrous person. He constantly mocks, belittles, and attacks others. One of the meanest people in politics. So I think it's okay to give it back to him. Okay. Yeah, your mom. What? This would be a national scandal 20 years ago. And even Mehdi Hassan says 2 years ago, and he points out, he's like, can you imagine if Karine Jean-Pierre or Jen Psaki said something like this? He's right. But they wouldn't, because the fact of the matter is the Democratic Party, despite its many, many faults, they're just not aggressive in this way. I was going to try to pull up the tweet here by, oh, there you go. Imagine if Jen Psaki had said this to a reporter from Fox in 2021, heads would have exploded. But also, maybe with that kind of contempt for the bad faith, right? Harris would have won. Indeed. Maybe. So, folks, this is just stunning. Karoline Leavitt again, it just seems to be spiraling just in rapid time. I mean, in 24 hours, she's just unhinged in ways which are genuinely surprising. And apparently, even to Fox News viewers are like, we need to change the freaking subject. Can we talk about something else, please? There you have it. And I have no doubt that this is going to earn her more praise from Trump and the MAGA, right? So she's incentivized to keep on doing this. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.